Hello and welcome. I have another haul for y'all, and I hope you guys are comfy because this whole baker's box is full of books. I kind of went on a bit of a buying spree, and also I recently visited my friend Matt, who y'all know here as Book Pilled, and he gave me a couple books as well, and I've also bought a couple of books from him off of Whatnot because friends support friends, right? I also have a package from one of y'all as well, and I will open that up somewhere in the middle. It's kind of like an intermission. So hope you guys are comfy, hope you guys have some snacks or drink, and let's go ahead and get opening. We're gonna do the paperbacks first, mostly because that's what's on top of this giant box. So the first one is something I actually purchased from Matt from his Whatnot auction. It is a Nebula Award winner, The Falling Woman by Pat Murphy. I just thought it looked interesting. It is a Nebula Award winner, and I think that might be neat to maybe do a challenge for myself at some point to read all of the Nebula Award winners. That might be an interesting little thing. The reason why I bought it is because it has an excerpt from Samuel R. Delany promoting the book. So Babel 17 is one of my favorite science fiction books, so that alone recommended that to me. Plus, you know, I wanted to support my friend. Next book I found in the wild. This is Breach the Watershed. It's got a Dargan on it. Dragon. It's got a dragon on it. That's just what I like to call them. It's the first book in the trilogy, and you know, I prefer to try to find the first books. This is apparently Douglas Niles is the author of the Moonshade trilogy, which is a Forgotten Realms trilogy. He's no stranger to writing fantasy novels, but I just thought this was interesting and it was very cheap, so I picked it up. And it's also a first Ace copy, which is great, from the 90s, because that is definitely a 90s cover. The next book I'm going to show you is something that, again, I bought from my friend Matt. This is The Space Egg. This is just something I thought was hilarious and something great for books without barcodes. It's just another sci-fi book with this dude on the front of it that is not focusing, because why would you want to focus? There he is. He just looks like he farted in the space egg and is really upset that he just hotboxed himself. I mean, that's what his face looks like to me. Again, another way to support my friend and also pick up something for a series that I do here on this channel. The next two Matt gave me for free. This is Andre Norton's Red Heart Magic. I think this is a fantasy book, The Magic of the Red Heart Inn. So yes, this is definitely a fantasy novel of theirs, and I was at his house flipping through his boxes of books, and he was just, take what you want, and that is a dangerous thing. Plus I had already run out of room in my luggage, so I just grabbed a couple to take. But again, I have been reading some Andre Norton's and works and decided that I need to collect them all like Pokemon. And that is why I also grabbed this one as well. This is another fantasy novel. Also, it's because of the fact that I know Matt doesn't read fantasy, so I felt much better about taking the fantasy books. But this has a nice little puck on the front and a hot red head as well. And it's the first time in paperback. This kind of looks like late 80s, early 90s, especially because it's got a barcode on it. Let's see, am I right? 1984, first printing. So that's awesome. So this is something I bought for myself, mostly because I could not find this. I still have this on my wish list to get the hardback, but that's probably a pie in the sky. But this is the Wish Song of Shinara. This was missing from one of the quartets from the series, so I have a couple of the quartets completed now, but I do now have this one. This is also a first edition mass market print as well, so this I thought was great. I think I can start this series now. I have to double check though. I'm not 100% sure. I think I completed another quartet in the series, but I'm not sure it's the first quartet. I have to double check. I have to collect them all together and figure that out. All right, this is a little hardcover. This is Night by Elie Wiesel. Again, another book for books without barcodes. I'm not going to show the back because it's a little bit too grim for everyone. The whole book is very grim, but the subject matter is awful. But it's important to read because it is something that happened. And this is from 1960. So I will be reading this and reviewing it because I haven't read this since school. Actually, probably elementary school, I think, is when I read this. But I do want to read this as part of Nonfiction November. If I could fit all the books I'm trying to read this month in, that'd be great. This is Sounder, which is a major motion picture according to this. I just thought this would be an interesting read for books without barcodes. So this is, I think, a novel that is now a major motion picture from the 60s. I was right. Okay, so the movie is from the 70s. The book is from the 60s. But I feel like this is going to be indicative of its time, and I might actually try to find the movie to watch as well with that. But it's just something that looked interesting and I wanted to read, and it was also very inexpensive. This is James Baldwin. This is James Baldwin's Go Tell It on the Mountain. This is considered one of his classic works. This is another, just like the Elie Wiesel, this is what's called permabound, which is something they did in the late 60s, early 70s for like, this is kind of early library binding. That's what this is. I really like these when I find them, mostly because they're the size of the paperback, but with the durability of a hardback. So I try to find these when I can, mostly just to actually like carry around and read. Because sometimes one of these thick boys, that's a lot to carry. One of these is better and easier to travel with and fits in a purse. The other one I would fit in some purses, but not the ones I like to carry. So I saw this, I picked this up, I paid like $50. This is another piece that Matt gave me for free when I went and visited him in California. This is Before the Universe by Frederick Pohl and C.M. Kornbluth. C.M. Kornbluth came highly recommended by Matt, and this is one of the pieces that he was willing to let me have. So I took it just because I'm interested to read him, mostly because of how venerated he is by Matt. So always interested to find new authors to love. All right, next two pieces are gifts from Matt that he sent to me later after he found them. So I am personally trying to collect all of the Neil Hancock fantasy books. I have now, thanks to this edition, now have all of the Circle of Light and have all of the Wilderness of Four. So this is the third book in the Wilderness of Four by Neil Hancock. So I have all of the Circle of Light, all of the Wilderness of Four. I also have the standalone book Dragon Winter, and he also sent me The Fires of Windermere. Now this one is looks like a library book that has lots of marker all over it, but I now have the book. So Neil Hancock wrote like 13 books in this world. Wrote them like very consecutively, so he was putting out maybe like one every year, every 2 years during the golden age of fantasy, which is like the late 70s, early 80s. And then like everyone has forgotten him, it seems like. And I discovered his writing when I was a small child with Dragon Winter, and I have been wanting to find the rest of his works. So I now have another one thanks to Matt. Matt has literally supplied me with like 80% of my Neil Hancock books now. So Matt, thank you very much. I do appreciate that. You are a very good friend. It's nice to have fellow book nerds as friends. They keep your habits fed. This is something that I bought from Matt. I feel like I'm just saying Matt every other word. I'm so sorry. But I bought this from his Whatnot show just because of the robot. Looked very cool. So this is Galactic Diplomat by Keith Laumer. I just thought this looked great Did I buy this from him or did he give it to me? I can't remember. I'd have to check my Whatnot's buying, but I thought this was great. I'm pretty sure I bought this on Whatnot. It looks like the robot's on fire, giving me very much like Fahrenheit 451 vibes. I'm trying to show you the fireman from Fahrenheit 451 and can't because it's in an interesting place on my arm. So another awesome book without a barcode. Nice sci-fi book for that. And the last paperback, that's not true. Yes, it is true. The last paperback is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I have no idea what this is. I just really like these trade paperback bindings that have like, where it's kind of a dust jacket, but it's a paperback. I really like these trade papers, especially when they cut the, when they rough cut the pages. Like this in my hand feels the nicest when I'm reading. I absolutely adore tactilely the trade papers that mimic a dust jacket and have the rough cut pages. Those are tactily the most pleasing to have in my hand, my little tiny hands. I love these so much. I have never heard of this book. It just looked neat and it is in my favorite type of trade paper. So I got it and it was 25 cents. So another great reason to get it. Everything else is a hardcover, and there are also some nonfiction in here as well. So the first book I'm going to show you is The Darkest Minds. I, again, have a severe YA addiction. In addition to everything else, this is YA. This is not YA. This is sci-fi and fantasy. Most of my YA is in the other room. But this is The Darkest Minds. I paid 50 cents for this, which is part of the reason why I picked it up. It's by Alexandra Bracken. This is a first edition. So picking up a first edition YA, my guilty pleasure for 50 cents. I will do that all day long. Actually, before I get too far into this, let me go ahead and show you guys what was kindly sent to me. So I received this little package in the mail and I was not expecting anything, and they sent it to me while I was in California, so I was quite surprised by it. And this is probably the neatest little thing. This is sent by someone who has a business. Oh, look at this cool envelope. All right, it's a nice black envelope. That's nice packaging. All right, so they sent me a lovely letter. It's from G.E. Smith. And they write short, dark fiction and created something called Frightmark bookmarks. So these are bookmarks that have short, scary stories on the back of them. And I have read a few of them. And they're very good. It is very hard to write, like do a one-page scary story. Like this would be something like you would tell someone over the fire. You remember like, it's not Are You Afraid of the Dark? Is it Are You Afraid of the Dark? I think it's Are You Afraid of the Dark. Like the little stories that they had on Nickelodeon, like at night before Nick at Night came on. I am dating myself so hard right now. But I read all of these and they are very clever. They're very spooky. I was very surprised. I was like, are these excerpts from books? And then I realized, no, they're just a whole complete story. And they're all by G.E. Smith. So I have read all of these. Also, the designs are very pretty. Do you also draw these too? Well, this is like just a graphic, but this one looks drawn. This one's drawn. Some of these are just graphics, but they all have their own little story on the back. And I think that is so clever. And you're actually a very good writer to be able to do that in short form content. I feel like these would also be really good TikToks. I don't know if you know what TikTok is. Sometimes when I say that, people don't know what I'm talking about, but I feel like these would also be really cool to like say out loud on TikTok to promote your stuff. Just giving that idea out there. Especially if you're doing this time of year. So it is Halloween time, but you know, people like spooky stuff all year round. I like spooky stuff all year round. I am spooky stuff all year round, especially first thing in the morning. So G. Smith, thank you very much. I will, do you have a way for me to link to your stuff? I don't, Okay, I'll try to, if I can find a link to their store, or if they have a store or a website, I will try to find it so I can link it below. But they are very, very cool. So Smith, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And also, this is great packaging. It matches my outfit. I appreciate this very much. I appreciate it, and thank you for thinking of me. It's very surprising when I get stuff in the mail. I've gotten as much stuff in the mail from my book channel as I have from my reselling channel, which is like 5 times the size of this one. So it's very surprising, and just makes me realize that bibliophiles, nerds recognize nerds. I like it. Speaking of, I've mentioned before that I really love John Steinbeck. I absolutely love his writing style. He has probably some of the best environmental prose, like visual descriptive prose, of any writer that I have read. Almost every single one of his works is considered a literary classic, or at least an American classic. And I found a hardcover of his The Winter of Our Discontent, which is one of the few longer version John Steinbeck novels that I have not had the opportunity to read. I do have to do some erasing here because I found this for 50 cents. It also has, apparently this came from a membership of some type from 1961. So this is from 1961. Has a little piece of paper that says, "Dear member, this purchase will be charged to your account and billed on your next monthly statement. Payment is not due until billed. If you sent cash with your order or your account is prepaid, the charge will not, of course, appear in your statement." So this came from some kind of book club. I just find that so funny. Like, you used to have to send away from books unless you had like a library near you. I find that so amazing. Like, so many people had to do mail order to get books where they were, and it's just now something that you can go on your phone. Like, you literally have a little tiny computer in your hand that used to take up entire warehouses in the 1960s. You have this little tiny computer in your hand and you can click 2 buttons and a book will show up the next day. I don't think people think about that enough. I find that amazing. So I paid 50 cents for that. Paid 50 cents for this. I have almost bought this book brand new multiple times just because of the fact my friend Donna, who is also a booktuber, has recommended this book to me. I think it was her. I'm not sure it was her. This is The Hate You Give, which has also been turned into a movie. And this is the exclusive collector's edition, which is interesting because I found the dust jacket in one bin and I found the book in another bin. And I was like, I'm going to put these two together because I found the dust jacket first. I'm like, this book is somewhere. I'm going to find this book. I found it and I'm so happy because, again, I've almost bought this book brand new multiple times. And this is the, collector's edition. So how much was this? Originally, I would have had to have paid $19 for this, and instead I paid 50 cents, which I think, to me, is better. I think most people would feel like it's better. And the only thing that suffered is the dust jacket is crumply. I'm willing to take a crumply dust jacket to pay 50 cents for a book. Another book I got for 50 cents, this is nonfiction, The American Lion. This is a book about Andrew Jackson. Was that correct? Yes, I am. I was like, that looks like Andrew Jackson. How well do I know my presidents? For those of you new here, I do have a degree in history. That's what I have my bachelor's in. And it has an emphasis in American archaeology. So I try to at least sprinkle some nonfiction in with my fiction reading. I don't do that very well, but I do try to continue my education. But yeah, 50 cents instead of $30, I will definitely do that. I don't really have a grand affinity for Andrew Jackson. I found what is a good book probably about the presidents, or one of the presidents that I don't know very much about. However, if you want to ask me about John Adams, I've got you. Like, I know John Adams. I actually know John Adams better than Washington or Jefferson, and both of them lived here in Virginia, so I don't know if that what says. I liked one of their ideals a little bit more than the other ones. This is something I actually paid $1 for. This is John Ringo, Emerald Sea. I don't really buy a whole lot of Bane books, but something about this cover, it's like I got a trailer mermaid. So she's out in the kiddie pool in the front, and then this dragon, which actually looks really cool. Not to say that there's anything wrong with living in a trailer. I spent the first 5 years of my life in a trailer, so please don't think that I'm being disparaging in any way, shape, or form. I just, as someone who lived in a trailer for a time, that's a very familiar face. So there's that. I have no idea. I've never read anything from John Ringo. I just kind of wanted to read a book that sounded like it was written from a Beatles with the trailer mermaid. So there's that. Now, Harry Turtledove, I have read a lot of. I have quite the collection of Harry Turtledove books when I could afford them, because I was buying them new before I discovered where I could buy not new books in just as good condition. But this is Homeward Bound, which, as you can see, is not just alternative history, but is also a little sci-fi with some dinosaurs and I'm guessing space. I'm not sure. Is this space, or is this like an alternative dimension where dinosaurs still exist? Nope, this is aliens. Sci-fi. Harry Turtledove sci-fi. Exciting. Alright, another YA piece. Paid 50 cents for this, even though it is a Barnes & Noble exclusive. Signed copy. Again, I have quite an addiction to YA novels. This is from, there's her signature there. This is by Renee Ade, I think is how I say her name, hopefully. This is some kind of probably dark romance set in New Orleans. At least that's what I get from the premise. For 50 cents, I will buy a signed copy of a work from an author that may one day be worth lots of money. Who knows? This is Tony Ballantyne. This is Recursion. I read the synopsis on the dust jacket for 50 cents. Again, another dark YA novel that I will probably gladly devour. This is supposed to be like from the future, so I think this is technically YA sci-fi, but not 100% sure. This is like set in the future and there's like isolated planets and that kind of stuff, so it's like YA sci-fi. Terry Brooks, The Dark Legacy of Shinara. I'm gonna get all of these books just so that way I can read them all. I feel like a challenge has been set forth to me that I must read all of these books. I must accumulate them all and I must read them all. Because I found a glut, and then Robert was kind enough to send me the rest of them, or a lot of them, and I need to get them all now. Just so that I can make all of the set. I think it's completed now, so I can actually read them all, which would be great. This is something that I bought from Matt. This is a hardcover. I bought it because of the insane front cover, and this is also supposed to be 3 books in 1 by Gordon R. Dickson. I don't have a lot of Gordon R. Dickson, but this is 3 novels from the Child Cycle. This has Necromancer, not Neuromancer. I have read Neuromancer, that's over there, which is by William Gibson, not by Dickson. This has Necromancer, Tactics of Mistake, and Dorsai. So it's got 3 different books. I'm guessing that's supposed to be the main character from the 3 different books. 3 to Dorsai. This is, I think, a book club edition. Yes. But this does have the rough cut pages. And again, I wanted to support my friend, and I prefer hardcovers, so this is great. I have the opportunity to read all those. This I found for 50 cents, and I thought that this was really cool. So I think this is a double feature. This is On Company Time by Cage Baker. And the 2 books I believe are in here is In the Garden of Eden and Sky Coyote. But this is like a time police type of book, but it's got 2 different books in it. Yeah, so this is 2 books that deal with time police, kind of like Minority Report. I'm guessing. I'm not 100% sure. Either either way, another multiple novels in one, and they're all sci-fi, so I have so much sci-fi. I think the last book haul I showed you, or 2 book hauls ago, I showed you The Midnight Sun. I also managed to find The Short Second Life of Bree Tanner, which is also in the Twilight series. Stephanie Meyer. This was written before Midnight Sun. I might just end up with all of Stephanie Meyer's books as well, because, you know, why not? She's like, isn't she one of the Church of Latter-day Saints or Mormons? I don't know. I think it's Orson Scott Card, Stephanie Meyer, and isn't it Brian Sanderson? Like, all 3 of them have the same religion, and they all have, like, similar themes in their books. I don't know. I've got this because why not? My little angsty self wanted it, and so I bought it. This was interesting. This is another book I think I picked up for like 50 cents. And it seemed like it was sci-fi. This is Ninth City Burning by Patrick Black. I don't pick up a whole lot of modern sci-fi, mostly because I don't really find it very often where I am. So I think this is like the second piece of modern sci-fi. And what I mean by modern is it's like 2002 to now. So that's like not technically vintage yet. I find a lot of 90s sci-fi, and I find a lot of Bane sci-fi. I guess that's not true. I find a lot of Bane books. So like I find a lot, is it David Weber that writes a lot, that gets published a lot with Bane books where it's like kind of militarist sci-fi? I find a lot of that. I'm not really that into that, so I just leave those behind. But that's pretty much all I find. This next one I picked up because look at it, and then look at the title. It's Gullible's Travels instead of Gulliver's Travels, and we were talking about when I did the video for New Worlds November about trying to find funny sci-fi. I think I did that. This has also 2 books in it. This has Fool's Errand and Fool Me Twice. And this is, I think, supposed to be humorous sci-fi. So I might have actually checked that box off without having to reread Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which a lot of you recommended, but I've already read and I already own. So I have Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but I have the Barnes & Noble edition that had all, like, actually this has 6 books in it. So this says 5 complete novels and 1 story. Whatever that means. I have read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I did not read the rest of them. But I do have it, and I have it in hardcover. And I'm gonna put the books back up. I don't really feel like you needed to see that. Nor do you need to see my butt, which I'm pretty sure is the only thing you can see right now. But there it is. Alright, and the last book I have to share with you, I picked up for a couple reasons. 2, nostalgia. Hard nostalgia. Robin Williams is probably one of my favorite actors of all times, and I get emotional thinking about it, that he's no longer with us, because he had such an impact on me as a child. And 2, because it's written by Terry Brooks. So I found this for 50 cents, and this is written by Terry Brooks. It is the novelization of Hook, which is the movie that had Robin Williams in it. I like how the Druid of Shinara is right up here. Right hook. I just thought it was great. So, what if Peter Pan grew up? And I just was really happy to find this. This is a first edition from 1992 of this book. And I will treasure this. So, I'm really happy I found this. I was so shocked and surprised when I saw it and nobody had picked it up. But yeah, for 50 cents, this was a find. So that is very long haul of everything I have bought and everything that has been sent to me. So Matt, if you're watching this, thank you very much for being so generous with your time and imparting some of your collection with me, and for thinking of me and giving me the Neil Hancock books to try to complete my collection. I really do appreciate that. Smith, again, very talented. I will hopefully have a link in the description for your Fright Marks, because they're really cool and it's very hard to write an interesting short story. to be able to fit it on a bookmark like that. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video, whenever that happens. Bye! Bye.
Nobody said it'd be easy, but we took a train to the sea.